Preface. The power of kindness. There is a quiet but enduring force at work in our lives every single day. It is not technology, nor wealth, nor power. It is kindness. A smile at the coffee shop, a door held open for someone behind you, a message of encouragement sent at the right moment. These small acts may seem ordinary, yet they carry the power to change someone's day, and sometimes even their life. In a world that often feels noisy, competitive, and fragmented, kindness can appear almost optional or even naive. And yet, science tells us otherwise. Psychology and neuroscience reveal that kindness not only benefits the receiver, but also transforms the giver. A simple act of kindness releases oxytocin, the so-called bonding hormone, that makes us feel more connected, safe, and at peace. This book is written to remind you that kindness does not have to be grand or complicated. It is a choice, made again and again, moment by moment. It does not demand that you change the entire world overnight. It only asks that you change one interaction, one decision, one moment, and then let kindness ripple outward like waves on still water. In the chapters ahead, you will discover the science of kindness, why it has the power to reshape our brains and emotions, the ripple effect, how one small act can lead to meaningful change, the barriers to kindness and how to overcome them, how to practice kindness in your work, family, community, and even in the digital space, how to live a life of kindness, leaving behind a legacy far more lasting than applause or recognition. If gratitude is the key to appreciating what we have, and focus is the foundation for achieving what we pursue, then kindness is the bridge that connects us to one another and to a deeper sense of humanity. I invite you to step onto this journey, to learn how to be kinder to yourself, to those around you, and to the wider world. It is a journey that can transform not only the way you see life, but also the way life smiles back at you. Introduction. Why kindness matters now more than ever. We live in an age of astonishing progress. Technology connects us across continents. Medicine extends our lifespans, and opportunities for growth seem limitless. And yet, beneath all this advancement, many people feel lonelier, more anxious, and more disconnected than ever before. In this paradox of modern life, kindness has become not just a virtue, but a necessity. Everywhere we look, attention is being pulled in 1,000 directions. Social media rewards comparison, workplaces reward competition, and society often glorifies speed over compassion. In such an environment, kindness can feel like a luxury we cannot afford, or worse, a weakness that slows us down. But nothing could be further from the truth. Kindness is not weakness. It is strength in its purest form. It is the ability to extend patience when irritation is easier, to forgive when resentment feels justified, to listen when the world demands noise. It is a quiet courage that resists the pull of selfishness and chooses connection instead. Science affirms what wisdom traditions have always taught. Kindness makes us healthier, happier, and more resilient. Studies show that acts of kindness reduce stress, boost immunity, and even slow aging. Kindness strengthens relationships, fosters trust, and builds communities where people thrive together rather than struggle alone. But perhaps the most powerful truth about kindness is this: it multiplies. One act inspires another. A single moment of compassion can set off a chain reaction that touches lives far beyond what we can see. This book is not about making kindness a performance. It is about rediscovering kindness as a way of being, something deeply human, accessible to everyone, and profoundly transformative. Through science, stories, and strategies, we will explore how kindness can shape not only our personal lives, but the future of our communities and our world. The journey of kindness begins not with a grand gesture, but with a choice. The choice to notice, the choice to care, the choice to act. And in choosing kindness, again and again, we begin to unlock one of the most extraordinary powers we all carry within us. Chapter 1. The Science of Kindness. For centuries, kindness was spoken of as a moral virtue, a value taught by parents, preached by spiritual leaders, and passed down in cultural wisdom. Yet today, science confirms what our ancestors always seemed to know. Kindness is not only good for the soul, it is good for the body, the brain, and even society at large. The biology of being kind, when you perform an act of kindness, whether offering a smile, giving your time, or showing compassion, your brain releases a surge of powerful chemicals. Oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, is triggered by acts of care and connection. It lowers blood pressure, reduces inflammation, and creates feelings of trust and closeness. Dopamine, the brain's reward chemical, is also released, producing what researchers call the helper's high, a warm, uplifting sensation of joy after doing something good for someone else. Serotonin, which stabilizes mood and promotes a sense of well-being, often rises during moments of generosity. Together, these chemicals form a natural feedback loop. The more kindness you give, the better you feel. And the better you feel, the more likely you are to give kindness again. Kindness and mental health psychologists have discovered that people who consistently engage in kind acts experience lower levels of stress and anxiety, greater resilience in the face of adversity, higher self-esteem and optimism. One study found that people who practiced random acts of kindness each week reported significant increases in happiness and life satisfaction. Another revealed that volunteering not only reduced depression, but also provided a sense of purpose, particularly in older adults. Kindness and physical health. The effects of kindness go beyond emotions. Research shows that consistent acts of kindness can strengthen the immune system, reduce cortisol, the stress hormone that accelerates aging, improve cardiovascular health by lowering blood pressure, even extend lifespan. People who volunteer regularly have been shown to live longer, healthier lives. Kindness is not just good for society, it is a biological design for survival. Communities rooted in care and cooperation have historically thrived more than those fractured by conflict. Our very biology seems to reward us for being kind, as if nature itself is reminding us. We are meant to thrive together. The ripple in the brain. Perhaps one of the most fascinating findings is how kindness is contagious. Neuroscientists have discovered that witnessing an act of kindness activates the brain's mirror neurons, the same circuits that fire when we perform the act ourselves. This means that simply observing compassion can inspire us to act kindly too. Kindness spreads like a positive infection, rippling through families, workplaces, and entire communities. Why this matters today. In a fast-paced world, kindness is sometimes dismissed as soft or inefficient, but neuroscience proves otherwise. Far from being a distraction, kindness is fuel for human flourishing. It sharpens focus, builds stronger bonds, and enhances cooperation, all qualities needed for success in work, relationships, and society. The science is clear. Kindness is not an optional virtue. It is a fundamental human strength. And when we understand this truth, we can begin to use it intentionally, not only to improve our own lives, but to help shape a better world. Chapter 2. The Ripple Effect. Imagine dropping a single pebble into a calm lake. At first, it seems like a small action, insignificant compared to the size of the water. But then the ripples spread, wider, farther, touching shores you never expected. Kindness works in the same way. One act, many echoes. When you hold the door open for someone, buy a meal for a stranger, or speak words of encouragement, the action may seem small, but it does not end with you and the recipient. That person's mood shifts, their stress lightens, and often they go on to treat others with greater warmth. Psychologists call this moral elevation, the uplifting feeling that inspires people to act more kindly after witnessing kindness. A smile shared on the subway may cause someone to treat their coworker more patiently. That coworker may return home and show more tenderness to their family, and the family, feeling supported, may extend kindness to neighbors. What began as one small act has rippled across multiple lives. Scientific proof of the ripple. In 2010, researchers at the University of California, San Diego studied kindness in social networks. They discovered that when one person behaved generously, it created a chain reaction, encouraging others to act generously too. The effect was not limited to direct connections. It spread up to 3 degrees of separation. In other words, your act of kindness can impact not just the person you help, but also their friends, and even their friends' friends. This means a single decision to act kindly can reach dozens, if not hundreds, of people over time. The workplace example. Kindness ripples powerfully in professional environments. A manager who takes time to recognize an employee's effort not only boosts that person's morale, but also sets the tone for the entire team. When recognition and respect become part of workplace culture, employees collaborate more openly, stress levels decrease, and overall performance improves. What begins as a simple thank you can cascade into a healthier, more productive organization. Communities transformed. At the community level, kindness can be revolutionary. Consider how neighborhoods shift when people choose to greet each other, check in on the elderly, or support local families in need. Trust grows. Fear shrinks. Cooperation replaces isolation. Even large social movements often begin with small ripples, individuals who chose kindness in the face of indifference or hostility. These ripples can grow into waves that reshape society. The invisible ripples. Not every ripple is visible. Sometimes you will never know how far your act of kindness traveled. A word of encouragement you spoke years ago may still be guiding someone through a dark season. A meal you bought for a stranger may have reminded them of their worth when they needed it most. The beauty of kindness is that it never dies. It simply continues, echoing in ways we cannot always see. A world changed by ripples. What would the world look like if each of us dropped just one pebble of kindness into the waters of life each day? The ripples would intersect, overlap, and amplify one another until the stillness of indifference became a tide of compassion. Kindness is not just an individual act, it is a collective force. And when we understand the ripple effect, we realize that our actions, however small, carry the power to reshape not just one life, but the world around us. Chapter 3: Kindness in Everyday Life. Kindness is not limited to grand gestures or extraordinary sacrifices. In truth, the most transformative kindness is often woven into the fabric of daily living. It shows up in ordinary interactions, in moments so small we may overlook their significance. Yet these small choices shape the way we experience the world and the way the world experiences us. Kindness in the families are the first classroom of kindness. The tone you set at the breakfast table, the patience you show during a child's mistake, the respect you offer to an aging parent, these daily acts become the language of love. Kindness in families builds emotional safety. It says, "You are valued here. You belong here." Children raised in environments of kindness grow into adults who are more empathetic, more resilient, and more capable of forming healthy relationships. Kindness in friendships. True friendships are sustained not by convenience, but by care. A message to check in. A listening ear when life feels heavy. A celebration of small victories. These are the bricks that build lifelong trust. Kindness in friendship does not always require solutions. Sometimes it is simply presence, sitting quietly with someone in their struggle, offering nothing more than the reassurance that they are not alone. Kindness in the workplace. In professional life, kindness often takes the form of respect, recognition, and collaboration. When colleagues choose encouragement over criticism, when managers offer support instead of pressure, work becomes more than a paycheck. It becomes a place where people thrive. A study from Harvard Business School found that employees who worked in environments of kindness and gratitude reported higher job satisfaction, greater productivity, and lower stress. In short, kindness is not just nice to have, it is a competitive advantage. Kindness among strangers. Perhaps the purest form of kindness is shown to those who can offer nothing in return. Holding the elevator door, letting someone merge into traffic, offering directions with patience, paying for a stranger's coffee. These micro moments of kindness are powerful precisely because they are unexpected. They remind us that goodness still exists in the world, even in the midst of busy routines and impersonal crowds. Digital kindness. In today's connected world, kindness is no longer confined to physical spaces. A supportive comment on social media, a thoughtful email, or even choosing not to engage in online hostility. These choices matter. The internet can be a breeding ground for negativity, but it can also be a global platform for kindness. Each positive interaction helps shift the digital culture toward encouragement rather than division. The practice of everyday kindness. Kindness in everyday life is not about perfection. It is about intention. It is about pausing to ask, how can I leave this person, this space, or this moment better than I found it? Sometimes it is as simple as offering a smile. Other times it is choosing to respond with patience instead of irritation, or generosity instead of indifference. These are not small things. They are the threads that hold the human story together. a habit worth building. Like any skill, kindness strengthens with practice. The more you choose it, the more natural it becomes. Over time, it shifts from being something you do to being part of who you are. And that is the ultimate power of everyday kindness. It transforms not just moments, but identities. It turns ordinary people into quiet heroes who make the world gentler, one interaction at a time. Chapter 4. The Power of Listening. In a world filled with noise, buzzing phones, constant notifications, endless conversations, true listening has become rare. Yet listening is one of the most profound acts of kindness you can offer. When you listen deeply, you are saying, "I see you, I hear you, you matter." Listening as presence. Most people hear words, but few truly listen. Real listening goes beyond waiting for your turn to speak. It requires presence, setting aside distractions, silencing internal judgments, and giving your full attention to another human being. Presence communicates value. It tells the speaker that their voice is worth your time. In a culture where many feel unseen and unheard, that alone can be life-changing. The healing power of listening therapists, counselors, and even doctors know that sometimes what heals is not a prescription, but a patient ear. Research shows that being listened to can reduce stress, ease loneliness, and even lower blood pressure. When people share their struggles and feel truly understood, their burden lightens, even if nothing else changes. Listening is often more powerful than advice. Listening builds bridges. In divided times, listening is not only kind, it is revolutionary. When we choose to listen to those with different experiences, beliefs, or backgrounds, we open the door to understanding. Listening does not mean agreeing, but it does mean respecting. It is saying, "I am willing to step into your world for a moment, to see through your eyes." This simple act can dissolve hostility and build bridges where walls once stood. Listening in everyday life. In families, listening helps children feel secure and strengthens marital bonds. In friendships, it deepens trust and intimacy. In workplaces, it improves collaboration and reduces conflict. Many misunderstandings could be avoided if people listened more carefully, not just to the words spoken, but to the feelings beneath them. The discipline of silence. To listen well, we must learn the discipline of silence. Silence is not empty. It is full of space where another person's truth can unfold. Resist the urge to interrupt, to solve, or to turn the conversation back to yourself. Instead, let silence invite the other person to go deeper. Sometimes the kindest thing you can say is nothing at all. Listening as an act of love. When you give someone your full attention, you are offering one of the most precious gifts, your time. You can earn back money. You can rebuild opportunities. But time once given cannot be reclaimed. That is why listening is love in action. Becoming a better listener. Be present. Put away your phone. Look into their eyes. Listen with empathy. Try to feel what they are feeling, not just understand their words. Ask gentle questions. Invite them to share more without pressure. Reflect back. Summarize what you hear, so they know you truly understand. Why listening matters. In the end, people do not want perfect answers. They want connection. They want to know that in a chaotic world, someone cared enough to stop, to pause, and to truly listen. Listening may seem simple, but its effects are profound. It can soothe pain, strengthen bonds, resolve conflicts, and remind people of their worth. In a world where voices compete to be heard, choosing to listen is one of the most radical acts of kindness you can practice. Chapter 5. Small Acts, Big Impact. When we think of kindness, our minds often leap to large gestures, building schools, donating fortunes, or volunteering months abroad. While these acts are powerful, the truth is that the world is transformed most by the small, everyday choices of ordinary people. The myth of big enough. Many people hold back from practicing kindness because they believe their actions are too small to matter. What difference can one smile make? What impact could a short note of encouragement have? But kindness does not measure itself in size. It measures itself in sincerity. For someone carrying the weight of loneliness, a smile may be the light that breaks their darkness. For someone doubting their worth, a single word of encouragement may spark hope. Small acts are not small to the person receiving them. Everyday opportunities. Kindness hides in plain sight. It is in the moment you offer your seat to someone on the bus. Write a message of gratitude to a colleague. Check in on a friend who has gone quiet. Compliment a stranger without expecting anything in return. Pick up litter on the street so others can enjoy a cleaner space. These moments may take only seconds, but their effects can linger for days, even years. Stories of small acts. History and personal testimonies are filled with examples of tiny acts changing lives. A teacher's encouraging words guiding a student toward a lifelong passion. A stranger's kindness inspiring someone on the verge of giving up to keep moving forward. A neighbor's quiet help becoming the foundation of lifelong friendship. We rarely remember every conversation we have, but we almost never forget the moments when someone made us feel seen, valued, or loved. The domino effect. Small acts do not remain isolated. Like falling dominoes, one leads to another, creating a chain reaction of goodness. A kind driver in traffic reduces road rage. A kind cashier changes the mood of a customer, who then returns home and treats their family with greater patience. Tiny sparks of kindness ignite larger fires than we often realize. Why small acts matter. Most grand gestures are inspiring, but they are rare. Small acts, on the other hand, are available to us every day, in every setting, with every person we meet. That makes them far more powerful, because they can accumulate layer upon layer into a culture of compassion. Practicing micro-kindness. To live kindly does not require wealth or power. It requires awareness. Pay attention to the small moments where you can leave someone's day better than you found it. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Think of kindness as daily nutrition rather than an occasional feast. It is the small, consistent choices, rather than the occasional grand ones, that sustain a healthy life, both for ourselves and for the world around us. A world built on small acts. Imagine if every person performed just one small act of kindness each day. That would be billions of acts, billions of ripples, reshaping humanity into something more compassionate, more connected, and more hopeful. Small acts may seem invisible, but when multiplied, they are the greatest force of change the world has ever known. Chapter 6. Kindness and Leadership. Leadership is often associated with strength, authority, and decisiveness. Yet history and modern research reveal a deeper truth. The most enduring leaders are those who lead with kindness. Far from being a weakness, kindness in leadership is a profound strength that inspires loyalty, trust, and long-term success. Redefining strength for centuries, many equated leadership with dominance. Command and control styles ruled industries, militaries, and governments. While fear may achieve short-term obedience, it rarely sustains long-term commitment. True strength is not about instilling fear. It is about earning respect. And respect grows where kindness is present. The trust factor. Kindness is the foundation of trust. When leaders listen, acknowledge effort, and treat people with fairness, they create environments where individuals feel valued. This trust unlocks creativity, collaboration, and innovation. A Gallup workplace study showed that employees who feel cared for by their leaders are more engaged, more productive, and less likely to leave. Kindness is not just a moral choice. It is a practical strategy for building resilient organizations. Leading by example. A kind leader sets the tone for the entire culture. If the leader responds with empathy during mistakes, the team learns to do the same. If the leader shows gratitude, the team becomes more appreciative. Culture flows downward, and kindness at the top ripples through every layer. Consider leaders like Nelson Mandela or Jacinda Ardern, who demonstrated that compassion and firmness can coexist. Their ability to blend empathy with resolve earned them not only followers, but believers, people who trusted their vision because they trusted their heart. Kindness in tough decisions. Leadership is not free of difficulty. Leaders must make hard calls, layoffs, budget cuts, or strategic pivots. But even in these moments, kindness can guide the process. Communicating with honesty, offering support, and showing humanity during transitions preserves dignity, even in loss. Kindness does not mean avoiding difficult truths. It means delivering them with respect and care. Everyday leadership. Leadership is not confined to CEOs or politicians. Parents lead families, teachers lead classrooms, friends lead peers by example. In every sphere, kindness enhances leadership by building trust and motivating others to follow with heart, not just obligation. The future of leadership. In a world of rapid change, leaders who rely solely on power will struggle. The future belongs to leaders who combine vision with compassion, strategy with empathy, and courage with kindness. They will not only achieve results, but also elevate the people they lead. The core message. Kindness in leadership is not weakness, it is wisdom. It creates trust, fosters collaboration, and leaves legacies that outlast authority. As leadership expert Simon Sinek once noted, leaders are not responsible for the job. Leaders are responsible for the people who are responsible for the job. And when those people feel genuinely cared for, they give their best. Not because they have to, but because they want to. Chapter 7. The Courage of Kindness. Kindness is often mistaken for softness. Many assume it belongs only in easy moments, where the cost is low and the risk is minimal. But true kindness is rarely easy. In fact, it often requires courage, the courage to act with compassion in a world that sometimes rewards indifference, competition, or even cruelty. Kindness against the current. There are times when being kind means swimming against the current of culture. In competitive workplaces, kindness may be seen as weakness. In hostile environments, it may be misunderstood as naivety. And yet, choosing kindness in these spaces demands bravery, because it means refusing to conform to negativity. It takes courage to slow down in a world obsessed with speed. It takes courage to prioritize people over profit, or empathy over ego. Every act of kindness in such an environment is an act of quiet resistance. Vulnerability and strength. Kindness makes us vulnerable. When you extend generosity, you risk being rejected. When you show compassion, you risk being taken advantage of. When you forgive, you risk being hurt again. But vulnerability is not the opposite of strength. It is its truest form. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is acting in spite of it. Choosing kindness despite the risks is proof of inner strength, not weakness. Stories of brave kindness. History is filled with those who dared to be kind when it was dangerous. Individuals who sheltered refugees during times of war. Civil rights leaders who met hatred with nonviolence. Everyday people who stood up against bullying, prejudice, or injustice, even when it meant standing alone. These examples remind us that kindness is not passive. It is active. It is bold. It often requires standing firm when silence would be safer. The inner battle. Sometimes the hardest place to practice courageous kindness is within ourselves. It takes bravery to forgive our own mistakes, to speak to ourselves with gentleness instead of harshness, to believe we are worthy of love. Self-kindness is not indulgence. It is strength because it arms us with the resilience to face life's battles. Why courage matters. Without courage, kindness stays hidden in the heart. With courage, it becomes action. It transforms from good intention into visible change. Courage is the bridge between the desire to do good and the act of doing good. Everyday acts of brave kindness. Courageous kindness does not always look heroic. Sometimes it looks like speaking up for a colleague when it is unpopular, forgiving someone who never apologized, offering compassion to someone society has judged harshly, standing firm in your values when the crowd pressures you otherwise. These acts may not make headlines, but they shape character. They build the kind of strength that endures. The call to courage. The world does not need more cruelty disguised as strength. It needs more brave hearts willing to be kind when it matters most. Courageous kindness says, I will not let fear dictate my actions. I will choose compassion, even when it costs me. Because in the end, it is not the easy acts of kindness that define us, but the courageous ones, the ones that stretch us, challenge us, and prove that love is stronger than fear. Chapter 8. Kindness across differences. In a world as diverse and interconnected as ours, differences are inevitable. We differ in culture, language, beliefs, politics, and personal experiences. These differences can be sources of richness and learning, but they can also create tension, division, and conflict. Kindness is the bridge that allows us to cross these divides without losing our humanity. Seeing beyond labels. Too often, we reduce people to labels, liberal or conservative, immigrant or native, successful or struggling. Labels may simplify the world, but they strip away complexity. They make it easier to judge, dismiss, or even dehumanize others. Kindness refuses to stop at labels. It looks deeper. It asks, who is this person beneath the surface? What are they carrying? What story do they hold that I do not yet understand? The courage to listen across divides. Kindness across differences does not mean erasing disagreement. It means choosing to listen with empathy even when we do not agree. It is possible to say, "I may not share your beliefs, but I respect your dignity as a fellow human being." Listening does not weaken our convictions. It strengthens them by grounding them in compassion rather than hostility. Science of human connection. Neuroscience reveals that when we empathize with others, especially those unlike us, our brains activate the same circuits used to process our own emotions. This biological reality suggests that connection is hardwired into us. Acts of kindness that cross differences awaken these circuits, dissolving the illusion of separation. Everyday bridges kindness across differences can show up in simple, everyday ways. Greeting a neighbor from another culture with genuine warmth. Choosing patience with someone who speaks your language imperfectly. Seeking to understand rather than argue when political views clash. Helping someone whose background or lifestyle you do not share. Each act chips away at walls of division and lays bricks for bridges of trust. Stories of unity history reminds us that some of humanity's greatest breakthroughs were born when people reached across divides. Communities that welcomed refugees discovered resilience and renewal. Interfaith groups working together after disasters found strength in shared compassion. Strangers who helped each other during crises, regardless of nationality, race, or religion, showed that kindness transcends boundaries. These stories echo a truth. Our differences may be real, but our shared humanity is greater. Why it matters today. In a time of polarization, choosing kindness across differences is not naive. It is necessary. Division weakens us. Compassion strengthens us. When we choose kindness, we remind ourselves and others that dignity is not earned through sameness, but granted through shared humanity. The vision of a kinder world. Imagine a society where kindness was the first response to difference rather than suspicion, where people argued ideas but never devalued people, where disagreement did not erase respect. That world is possible, not through sweeping reforms alone, but through daily acts of kindness that cross divides, soften hearts, and remind us that we belong to one human family. Chapter 9. The Ripple Effect of Communities. Kindness begins with individuals, but its true power emerges when it grows into a collective force. A kind community has the potential to change lives, rewrite stories, and even reshape the future. What starts as one person's decision to act with compassion can spread like ripples across entire neighborhoods, cities, and nations. From individuals to culture. When individuals consistently choose kindness, it becomes part of the culture. A community built on kindness fosters trust, cooperation, and resilience. In such places, people look out for one another. Children grow up feeling safe, and strangers become neighbors. Think of a community where greetings are exchanged freely, where resources are shared, and where people rally together in times of crisis. Such cultures are not accidental. They are the result of countless small choices multiplied over time. Social capital. The invisible wealth sociologists speak of social capital, the trust and networks that hold communities together. Communities with high social capital enjoy lower crime rates, stronger economies, and better health outcomes. And what fuels social capital? Simple acts of kindness. Helping a neighbor, volunteering, showing respect across differences. Kindness is the currency that strengthens the invisible bonds between people. Stories of kind communities. During natural disasters, communities with strong cultures of kindness can often recover faster because people share resources, open homes, and provide emotional support. Neighborhood initiatives like food-sharing programs or community gardens transform not just diets, but also relationships. Schools that emphasize kindness see lower bullying rates, higher academic performance, and more resilient students. These examples remind us that kindness is not a side issue. It is the backbone of thriving communities. The multiplying effect. Unlike material resources, kindness grows when it is shared. If one person gives away money, they have less left. But if one person shows kindness, both the giver and receiver gain, and the act often inspires others. This multiplication effect explains why kind communities often feel richer, even when material wealth is modest. Building kind communities. Kind communities are built through intentional effort, creating safe spaces where people feel seen and supported. Encouraging volunteerism and service as core community values. Teaching kindness in schools as a fundamental life skill, not just a moral ideal. Celebrating stories of kindness so they inspire others. It is not about eliminating hardship. It is about creating networks strong enough to carry people through it. Why communities matter. An individual act of kindness is powerful, but when amplified by community, it becomes unstoppable. Communities shape values, and values shape futures. A culture of kindness can turn fear into trust, isolation into belonging, and despair into hope. A future built together. The question we must ask is not only how kind can I be, but also how can we together create a community where kindness is the norm. Because when communities ripple with kindness, the effects extend far beyond their borders, inspiring others and proving that compassion is humanity's greatest strength. Chapter 10. Living a legacy of kindness. At the end of our lives, very few of us will be remembered for the titles we held, the possessions we owned, or the awards we collected. What endures is how we treated others, the kindness we gave, the lives we touched, the compassion we sowed along the way. Kindness is the legacy that outlives us. What we leave behind. Material wealth fades, achievements gather dust, but kindness leaves imprints on the human heart that endure for generations. A teacher's encouragement can shape a child's future career. A neighbor's support during hardship can ripple into a family's stability. A stranger's compassion can restore someone's faith in humanity. Our legacies are not built in grand moments alone. They are written in the quiet, consistent choices to show care when it would have been easier to look away. Generational ripples, acts of kindness often outlast the giver. A parent who raises children with kindness plants seeds that grow into future generations. A leader who treats people with respect establishes cultural values that live long after their tenure. Even small gestures, a book shared, a hand extended, a word of encouragement, can ripple forward in ways we may never see. Kindness is timeless. It moves through families, friendships, and communities like a thread stitching lives together. Shaping the world through daily choices. We often underestimate our power to influence the world. Yet every day we write history with our actions. Each choice to forgive, to encourage, to help, is a contribution to the kind of society we leave behind. The question is not whether we will leave a legacy, it is what kind of legacy we will leave. The courage of consistency. Living a legacy of kindness requires more than occasional gestures. It requires consistency. Not perfection, but persistence. To rise each day with the intention to make the world gentler, even in small ways, is itself a heroic act. Legacies are not built in a day. They are built day by day. A legacy bigger than self. When we practice kindness, we connect to something larger than ourselves. We become part of an ongoing story of humanity striving toward goodness. Every act of kindness we offer is a contribution to that story. And one day, when our names fade from memory, the kindness we gave will remain, alive in the lives we touched, carried forward by those who were changed by it. The final reminder. Your greatest legacy will not be how much you acquired, but how much you gave. Not the power you held, but the kindness you shared. Not the influence you commanded, but the love you spread. The invitation is simple yet profound. Live each day as if your kindness will be the story others tell about you. Because in the end, it will be. Epilogue. The final gift of kindness. Kindness is often seen as something small, something simple, almost ordinary. But as we have explored, its power is anything but ordinary. It can heal wounds unseen, bridge divides unimagined, and create ripples that touch lives far beyond our own. At its heart, kindness is not a grand philosophy. It is a daily practice. It is a decision we make every morning. Will I choose to contribute to the chaos of the world, or will I choose to bring peace? Will I use my voice to wound or to heal? Will I walk through life closed off or with an open hand? The answer to those questions shapes more than our own lives. It shapes the lives of everyone we encounter. The legacy within reach. The world does not need more perfection. It needs more compassion. It does not need louder voices of anger. It needs steady voices of love. Each of us, no matter our circumstances, carries within us the ability to give this gift. Kindness costs little, but it yields treasures beyond measure: trust, connection, meaning, and joy. A call to action. So as you close this book, let this be your invitation. Start small, but start today. Offer a smile. Write a note. Listen with your full attention. Forgive someone. Forgive yourself. These are not small things. They are everything. Because when we choose kindness, we do not just make the world better for others. We make the world better for ourselves. We make the world better for everyone. The final truth. In the end, we will not be remembered for the battles we won, the wealth we stored, or the titles we carried. We will be remembered for how we made people feel, for the warmth we gave, for the kindness we shared. And that is the final gift of kindness. It transforms not just the world around us, but the very essence of who we are. So go forth. Choose kindness. Again and again and again. Let it be the story of your life.